Having remembered a dream that I was doing this work, women's health work, between Vancouver and India.
Okay.
And that Harvard was involved in this work. And I just kind of went, what?
You hadn't been thinking about Harvard before that?
Never. So 10 years later, my kids are kind of doing their thing. And for like just total kind of, across the screen flashes this, you could apply to be a Takami Fellow at the Harvard T.H. Chan School. And I thought, oh, that dream.
This is an epidemic. Like this is
absolutely one of those hidden,
right?
Nobody's talking about it.
No.
If we can love women the way that women love the world,
that's it.
That we are just going to sprinkle sparkly joy and good health everywhere.
Right.
We just need more of that compassion and love. From everybody.
Are you kidding?
Learning to surround yourself with people who lift you up.
That's it.
Learning to do things that for you are helpful and positive.
Yes.
Learning how to breathe, the thing that we do all the time. Right.
Welcome to season 1 of No Credit, the video podcast that highlights the often overlooked contributions of the women and gender diverse people working in the STEM fields across history, told through the eyes and the legacy and the voices and stories of Vancouver's incredible women and gender diverse professionals working in the STEM fields today. Hi, I'm Zeynep Güler-Tuck, Z for short, coming to you from the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations in beautiful Vancouver, BC. This is No Credit. All right, we're into it, and you're tuned in, and I just wanted you to check something out because today we're laser focused on women's health, and UBC hosted this panel on their. They live streamed it, and it's on their site. It was called Decolonizing, and I have to check my notes, gotta get this right, Decolonizing Wellness, Indigenous Women's Perspectives on Healthcare. So you can head to the UBC site, type this in, and check out the entire episode or the entire panel, and then download the report to get more information. It's super informative, and it's a great way to see how we're shaping and approaching the future of healthcare. Until this 11th century Italian doctor uncovered then shocking findings, women's health was overlooked in the male-dominated field of medicine. Considered the first gynecologist and a trailblazing healer of her time, Dr. Trotula of Salerno and her work formed the basis for women's health care, from personal hygiene and pregnancy-related complications to the importance of physical and mental well-being. Trotula was a pioneer and broke down barriers that had previously kept women out of the medical profession. Her discoveries and work changed the healthcare industry for the better, improving the lives of countless women over time. All right, Yay. We're here. Okay, so our guest today is a multi-hyphenate in every sense of the word, and who has made strides in the healthcare industry and specifically in women's health through her focus on sexual and reproductive health. She's an award winner. She's a true and true Vancouverite. This is Dr. Farah Shroff. Welcome to No Credit.
Thank you. It's such a delight to be here.
Yay, we're doing it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I kick off these episodes with a super important question.
Yeah.
I need to know your favorite snack that you don't share with a single person or you don't like to share with anyone, even though you have to. I'm sure you have a family, full house.
Yeah.
But you don't really want to.
Yeah.
So what's that snack?
I gotta say, like the really, really fresh macadamia nuts.
Those are special.
Melt in your mouth,
Right?
so delectable. They've got that little sweet taste.
There's something about the macadamia that's different from the other ones.
Yeah.
I love hazelnut, but macadamia is something special. And you're right, that melt in your mouth if it's fresh.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to find fresh.
Oh, I know. Well, I was born in Kenya, and recently I had some very fresh ones in a little village in Kenya, and that was it. I was sold.
So when are we going back? 'Cause
I'm telling
honestly,
you.
let's get this party started.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Shroff, we did our snack thing. Now we really want to talk about because our lives are always these twists, turns, detours that shape who we are and our work.
Yeah.
I would love to know how we got here.
I believe that my earliest impetus for working in women's health was my mom.
Yes.
My mom was this incredible woman, but she was really sick. My mom was really, really sick since I was about 4. And she had
a long time.
like pretty much all my life.
Oh my gosh.
So she had a woman of color disease called systemic lupus erythematosus.
No.
Yeah.
Tell me, can you expand on that?
Yeah,
Really?
sure. So there are 2 types of lupus.
Okay.
And the topical one is kind of more skin-based.
Yes.
Lupus means wolf, right? So you often see this like wolf-like structure on the face. My mom sometimes had that, but much more seriously, she had like literally every organ of her body. There wasn't one organ that hadn't been touched. Her kidneys, her liver, her lungs, her brain, like really everything got impacted.
Painful?
She was in pain almost all her life. And you know what the amazing thing was? So she had these huge challenges, but she never once in my life did I hear my mother say she was in pain.
We'll see.
She's a very kind of incredible person.
That's a very incredible person. It's a very particular, like specifically for women and mamas. This is a thing. It's a bit of a trend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't know that she was going through this?
Not a lot, because the thing was, we were new immigrants here on the Coast Salish lands.
Yes. And
my dad was a full-time professional.
Got it. So
luckily for us, we got 2 grandmas to come and live with us. I'm a Parsi from one part from India, one part from Pakistan.
Got it.
So we had the Pakistani grandma and the Indian grandma,
and
they came and raised us.
Oh, that's a busy house.
Yeah,
but that's amazing
and
to have that support.
House.
A loving house, lots of mamas,
lots of love.
Okay,
lots.
Okay, so and how did that shape you? Having all that maternal energy in the house.
Oh, that's what made me who I am today. Right?
You had this influence in your home coming from your parents were carrying so much of that history and all that with them, right? And then how did you get into, was this a high school thing? I'm into women's health. I know I'm going to be, I'm getting into healthcare, or how were we feeling in high school and university and all that? How did that shape?
I wanted to be a lawyer like my dad when I was in high school, actually. But so that love of justice was inspired when I was 14, and our parents took us on a trip to their motherlands, to our motherlands.
You went there.
Yeah, and I saw both of my parents were raised quite poor.
Okay.
And so I learned to not take for granted that I'm living in a place that I didn't see a ton of poverty. Of course we have poverty in the city.
Sure.
Of course we do.
But a different degree, right?
Yeah,
like a completely different.
Right?
No, exactly.
No comparison.
So that impacted you.
It was probably the biggest turning point in my life.
Okay.
Going back to the motherlands.
Okay.
And seeing really everybody who looked a lot like me.
Yes.
Everybody looked a lot like me.
Right.
But they didn't have the kinds of opportunities that I had.
So it was
I was 14. So I really remember sitting in the flat where my mom was raised, writing my journal, and remembering that 100 meters away from me were people whose entire possessions lived in this pot on the sidewalk. And that really, really hit me. It really hit me, not as something of separation, because when you hear a lot of people who aren't South Asian going to a place where they really, that you see the kind of hit you in the face poverty.
Sure.
They feel like, oh my God, this is so bad, and they feel pity. But what happened to me was I felt like this is family. This could be me. It's just pure luck and chance.
That's it.
That I'm on this side of that wall, and my big kin are over there.
Well, that's it. And so your advocacy was rooted, it sounds like, at that point.
Yeah.
So take us into kind of your to school life, but then ending of school life and professional life, how you're kind of kind of
Yeah.
moved into healthcare.
Yeah, then when I started at university, like, so I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer because I guess I learned enough about the way that the legal system isn't really about bringing justice and peace.
It's a tough one,
right?
right?
So sad. Although I think some lawyers absolutely do
Sure.
make a living doing that,
Sure.
but it didn't seem like the system was set up to do
No,
that.
it doesn't seem like it's set up still
Right.
to do that. Yeah.
Right.
So you felt you were going to make a better impact?
Better difference in the healthcare
in the
field.
healthcare field.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, because so the field that I eventually settled on is perfect for me.
Right.
Public health is absolutely, it's a huge, huge field.
Yeah.
You can do, if you just want to be an epidemiologist and just crunch numbers, you're,
Yeah.
go, if you love STEM and that's what you want to do. And the pandemic showed everybody that you could do that.
Right, of
There was all these
course.
little amateur epidemiologists out there during the pandemic. People were like talking about how many people were contracting the virus, how many people were dying
Right.
that day. Like, people get what an epidemiologist
Data people, yeah,
does now, right? If you love
exactly.
big data,
Yeah.
you could be looking at the maps around
Sure.
the world. So people understand
Sure.
public health really
Yeah.
well because of the pandemic. So there's so much that we can do, but literally in public health, you have choices. And I kind of do from soup to nuts in public health. Like, I can talk on a huge variety of topics.
Well, see that multi-hyphenate coming in here.
I mean, I feel
wealth
like
of
that's
knowledge,
it.
yeah.
We need to be able to look at the interconnections.
Of course.
Everything is connected in
Of
health.
course.
But I would say my biggest passion is working with those who identify as women.
Right.
That absolutely includes anybody who is trans
Yeah.
or non-binary. Anybody who says, I'm a woman, you're in.
That's it.
The
Well,
tent
that's
is big.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're inclusive and we're including all these needs.
Yeah.
And how did you get, so you mentioned, before when we were chatting, you mentioned Boston. So
Yes.
tell me about Boston. How did we get to
Yeah.
Boston?
Oh,
You're in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So how did we get there?
You
And
know,
then back here.
So, yeah, it's one of those really interesting things. I'm not somebody who remembers most of my dreams,
Right.
but I woke up 2 mornings that having remembered a dream that I was doing this work,
Yeah.
women's health work,
Sure.
between Vancouver and India,
Okay.
and that Harvard was involved in this work. And I just kind of went, what?
You hadn't been thinking about Harvard before that?
Never.
So
Never.
it just
entered into my dreamscape. Like,
so
I
2
really
nights
don't
in a
know.
row.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on?
That's bananas. That
It
doesn't
really is. Like,
happen.
it literally was like super out of the blue.
So the universe just was like,
Yeah.
just threw it at you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Right?
So I was like, okay, I got little kids. I'm not going anywhere for the next little while. I mean, we did pick up our kids and travel to Turkey and all kinds of places like, when they
Sure.
were quite young. But it wasn't like I was going to move to go
there you
anywhere.
go.
So it was like one of those things, you pop it in your back pocket.
Sure.
So 10 years later, my kids are kind of doing their thing. And for like just total kind of, across the screen flashes this, you could apply to be a Takami Fellow at the Harvard T.H. Chan School. And I thought, oh, the dream.
That dream.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, it was so
God. I have
interesting.
like goosebumps thinking about that. That's amazing. Okay, so we're going to talk about the fellowship in a second.
Yeah.
So that happened,
Yeah.
and that took you to Boston.
Yeah, I moved to Boston.
With the family.
Yeah.
For how long?
So it was a whole year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you move with the family or no?
I moved, and at
And
that
the
point, my darling, who was also a dream man, I have to tell you, I've dreamt about
See,
my Iranian husband
these
before I met him.
dreams.
But I don't have a lot of these dreams, but the ones that I've had have been kind of cool.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Write the book on it. Oh my gosh.
So he kind of stayed here because he loves what he's
Okay.
doing, and we went back and forth.
Got it.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
was tough, but definitely
work.
sounds like it was worth it.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Harvard is my happy place.
Oh, I love that.
It is a place that I know that I'm supposed to be there.
Aha.
And so since finishing that fellowship, I've continued to do lots
You're on the
of work at
board.
Harvard.
You're on the board.
I'm on the board of the Harvard Health Lab or
There you
the
go.
Harvard Health Accelerator.
Yeah.
I'm working with the Harvard Innovation Labs, which is part of the business school.
Right.
I recently did some work with this fellowship program called the Cheng Fellows, which are part of the Harvard Kennedy School.
There you go.
So I'm doing lots of work at Harvard. Yeah.
And then you're also now you're back in Vancouver, And you're an educator as well at UBC.
Yeah. I teach at UBC in the medical school.
Oh my God, lucky them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, molding young minds in the healthcare space. But you're still in public health.
Yes, absolutely.
And you mentioned to me, obviously we were chatting before,
Mhm.
you have a focus on sexual and reproductive health,
Mhm.
but you are also moving into a new space. Where
Mhm.
are we going? Where are we headed?
You know, I would venture to say that one of the most neglected areas of public health is the health of postmenopausal women.
Okay, so give me the age group of those women.
50 plus.
50
40,
plus.
even sort of like perimenopause. We could start there, 40-ish.
Yes.
Mature women's health is one of the most ignored elements of the world. Elderly women are treated as garbage. I
Right.
hate to use that language, but it is such a sad reality.
That is awful.
Sexism and ageism combine in a really pernicious way
Right.
for elder women's health,
Okay.
meaning that the world really doesn't know a lot about health conditions impacting women.
Right.
And diseases such as osteoporosis, even though they are really serious, osteoporosis is a bone disease. It's
Yes.
brittle bones.
Yep.
And women in the postmenopausal period are more prone to getting it because of the changes during menopause. And the reality of a postmenopausal woman with osteoporosis
Right.
falling, breaking her hip or
Yeah.
her femur, are that about half of those women are going to be dead within a year.
Oh gosh.
We would be
Is
hard.
that the research we're seeing now? Is
That's Canadian data.
Ugh.
When you go to other countries,
Right.
the chances of that woman dying are closer to 70%.
Oh my goodness.
So
Right.
it's so serious.
This is an epidemic. Like this is
Absolutely.
we're
One of those
urgencies.
hidden,
Right.
right? Nobody's talking
No.
about it.
No.
We know that falls are bad, and I personally do teach falls prevention.
Okay.
So we do know that if we can prevent falls,
Right.
that it's important.
Of course.
But osteoporosis is something that we need to we need to talk about a lot earlier.
Are you kidding? Of course. Well, in this case, with this kind of data, we absolutely do. So you're speaking about overlooked. And one of the pioneers of our episode today is is from Salerno, Italian 11th century doctor, Dr. Trotula.
Yes.
She was overlooked. She was the first
Yes.
gynecologist. Her work was overlooked.
Yes.
What she did for women's health, whether it's teaching personal hygiene to determining some of the very gender-specific diseases,
Yes.
she was continuously overlooked.
Yes.
We're still here,
Yes.
but your recognition for the fellowship is a big step, and I know that your accolades, you have lots of accolades and achievements. Are we in a different place right now? I mean, obviously from the 11th century, I hope you say yes, but
Yes, from
we're
11th century.
Right?
Yes, from the 11th century, absolutely. Yes.
But we're still seeing detrimental impacts of like the consequences of overlooking women's health.
If you go to Afghanistan today, my friend, you might not know that we're too much further ahead.
Right.
If you go to some places on planet Earth today,
We're still
we're so far
in the
behind.
11th century almost, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's not just women being second-class citizens. Women, I used the word garbage earlier.
I know.
This is the tragic reality
it's tragedy.
of women.
And there's an urgency there that I'm hearing in your voice,
Huge
right? And the work
urgency.
that you're doing, I'm almost like, how are we able to fuel more money into all the research and all the work that you're
Please.
doing? Because we're still in this case. We're still in this space.
Absolutely.
The underlooked, overlooked, unsung, in the
Absolutely.
shadows right now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the reality of women's health is that most women ignore their
course.
own well-being.
Well, you talked about your grandmother, your mother,
Right.
and your grandparents, probably your grandmothers.
Right.
Yeah.
A mother's love is the most pure form of compassion and selflessness that the
Yes.
world knows.
Yes.
And why did I found an organization that focuses on women's health and mothers, originally it was about mothers, was because I know that if we can love women the way
Yes.
that women love the world,
That's it.
that we are just going to sprinkle sparkly joy and good health everywhere.
Right.
We just need more of that compassion and love from everybody.
Are you kidding? And can we plug the name of your organization that you founded, Maternal? So do you want it to plug the new, because we're rebranded,
Yes,
right?
we're
So it used to
rebranding,
be
yeah.
Maternal and Infant Health Canada. Now it's
Health Together.
Health Together. And you
Yes.
founded this organization to
Yes.
be able to really bring awareness to this.
Yes, absolutely.
And
And
thank
it's
you
a
for-
global public health organization.
Great. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're now in the section, our Up Your IQ section, where we're going to teach, but we're going to do a spoonful of sugar on a couple of things relating to women's health and healthcare. So I would love for you to, in layman's terms, give us some information about kind of what are some of the areas typically overlooked for women's health.
It really starts pretty young.
Yeah.
Menstrual health is
Right.
one area which we're doing so much better in Canada,
So much better.
especially here on the West Coast, where we were the ones who made the argument to make menstrual products free. And so now
That was incredible.
Right?
What a groundbreaking
Yes,
thing, right?
finally.
And we have the template
Yeah.
for it now, so
It's-
right? So it
We're
can
the
be
ones
done-
who have spread it around the country.
That's it.
And just think how powerful that
It's
is.
very powerful.
Women are saving money. It's out there in the open.
Yep.
That period products are free. We should have been doing this decades ago,
Exactly.
but finally
We're
we've
here.
arrived.
We're here. Yeah.
And we're trying really to teach women around the world that menstruation is a healthy, normal part of your life.
That's it.
So here we're definitely getting better at doing
Right.
that. There's still a little bit of stigma around bleeding.
Yeah.
But you know, it's pretty exciting that
Yes.
around the world people are finally talking about menstruation.
Right. So menstrual health is one of those areas. Can you
Yes.
give me a few other areas that you find are significantly overlooked? You did mention osteoporosis, so
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
skeletal
Yep.
system, but what are some other areas that we really should, our viewers should really look into and
Yeah.
research, right?
I would really, really like more couples to start thinking very carefully about birth control.
Uh-huh.
Today in Canada, this is shocking actually.
Yeah.
The SOGC, the Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Canada,
Right.
tell us that about half of all pregnancies in Canada are unplanned. Shocker,
That's a huge
Shocker.
shocker.
right?
Yes, of course.
So with the
Why?
pill
So the-
and the effectiveness of the IUD and condoms and everything
It's
we've
still
got out
not-
there, why is that happening?
in Canada,
That's
of all
a
places. You know what I
Canadians,
mean? Yeah.
right? That's
Oh
in
my
Canada.
gosh.
When we talk about the rest of the world, it goes up to 65% of all
No.
pregnancies are unplanned. So unplanned doesn't mean unwanted
Sure.
necessarily,
That's a
but
great
some of it does
distinction.
mean unwanted,
Sure,
right? So
sure.
you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I would like couples to start really talking more. The burden of birth control is almost always on women,
Oh, yeah. It's
right?
Exactly.
Except for male condoms.
Exactly.
So can we as a society open up the conversation about how we can have more gender sharing with
Right?
fertility?
Come on now.
Right?
Right.
Where it's really, it takes two to make that baby.
Totally does.
Right?
I love that you said
Right?
that.
So how can we actually start the
That's it.
conversation and the sharing
Right.
and the kind of more egalitarian relationship
That's it.
at the, in the bedroom?
Right.
Can
And that's
we
a
start
women's
there?
rights issue
Huge.
that could be heavily impacted by what we're doing right now. And right? So we
Absolutely.
can really advance that in the healthcare
Absolutely.
area. Well, I'd love for you to talk about a little bit about, because that's kind of a lot of your expertise, right?
Yeah.
So tell us how holistic well-being can help us heal and help us kind of move forward in the women's health space.
Yeah. So a lot of our health is in our own hands.
Uh-huh.
What we do every day is something that we can really take control of.
Sure.
Even in a country like Canada, where really the mainstream way of thinking about our bodies is that we kind of hand them over to the healthcare system. And I really encourage everybody, men, women, and everybody on the gender spectrum, to think about just the ways in which we treat our bodies and minds.
Right.
Especially our minds. In the post-pandemic world, we're living with a lot more depression, a lot more anxiety.
Yep.
And so to really be paying attention to the ways in which we take care of ourselves emotionally. The term mental health doesn't really capture what I'm talking about, because it's really emotional well-being.
Is it ever?
Right? And to be really gentle and kind to self. One of the deepest cruelties on planet Earth is what people do to themselves.
Oh my gosh.
The self-talk.
Oh, it's the worst.
Can you be loving with your self-talk?
That's it. No.
Can you be kind?
We have to be taught, or we have to reprogram
Yeah.
years of
Yeah.
terrible programming,
Yeah.
right?
And especially women.
Yeah.
We are
especially
taught
women.
that whatever shape we are, it's just wrong.
Right.
If you're too round, you're too fat. If you're too skinny, you're not
got
sexy enough. If your breasts don't look a particular way, you need augmentation or surgery. Everything is just wrong.
We're not good enough. Yeah.
Right? So really hugely important for our mental well-being is to be able to look at our bodies, know the anatomy well,
Right.
and love ourselves.
See,
This is revolutionary,
Is it
truly.
is it ever? And necessary? And that urgency, again, I'm hearing in your voice. We need
Yes.
that now.
Yes.
Right? It's
Yes.
it's a huge problem, and we're going in the wrong direction.
Totally
So
wrong
we
direction.
need that right now.
When we think about the numbers of women who are living with sexual trauma, women who've been raped or lived with abuse in the family, whatever kinds of problems that women have had, and it's a lot of Canadian women.
Right.
Maybe one half or more Canadian women is living with some kind of trauma.
Right.
That has a massive impact on mental health.
Are you kidding? It has a massive impact on our society.
Exactly.
Right? We set the
Exactly.
tone a lot of the time.
Absolutely. So the self-talk, learning to surround yourself with people who lift you up,
That's it.
learning to do things that for you are helpful and positive,
Yes.
learning how to breathe, the thing that we do all the time, right?
Gosh.
Breathing down here,
That's
right?
it.
Breathing fully and exhaling like you. It's really
I like
nice. Let the stress out. And then just every day, all day long, using your nose and letting that breath in. Take a little pause, and then trying to exhale through the nose. A breath that might be a little bit longer on the exhale than the inhale. That's one of the ways you can be kind to yourself.
Are you kidding?
It's so easy,
Of course.
right?
Thank you. All right, so this is my favorite part. I get to learn a little bit more about you, particularly what is your morning routine?
Well, I start my mornings with a meditation. Yeah, I love meditating. I practice a type of Buddhist meditation called Vipassana.
Okay.
And it is my deepest medicine. I do it in the morning and in the evening before I go to sleep. And it gives me this beautiful softness in my whole body. So I start the day, so after the meditation is done, it's part of the meditation, we do the Metta Bhavana.
Okay.
So the last part of it, Metta Bhavana, means loving kindness. So just like in women's health, in this form of meditation, first we send the Metta Bhavana to self.
Okay.
So I send the Metta Bhavana to myself, and then to my men, my husband and our two beautiful sons. In our culture, we have this way of talking about the family.
Yeah.
So it's Faru Zubman. So I'm Farah, my husband is Ruzbe, our older son is Zubin, and our younger son is Arman. So I send Metta Bhavana to Faru Zubman,
Okay.
right in
Is
my
that
heart.
like a mantra or just like a good wishes?
It's good, yeah, it's just like
Right.
always holding those who I love the most in my heart.
In your heart.
Yeah, and
Got
sending them loving kindness.
Oh.
Then I send it to other people. And the last thing that I say, and I always speak in Spanish, I just love Spanish, is may all beings be happy, peaceful, and liberated. And when I say that, like, may all people be happy, peaceful, and liberated, there's something inside me that just feels so joyful and peaceful.
Oh, yeah.
And so I sort of start my day just kind of just feeling like, yes, that is so much what I want. I want every being. It's not just people, it's all beings.
All beings.
In the universe, right? So we don't just talk about one planet, right? It's may all beings be peaceful, joyful, and liberated. Like that's, I just want that, you know?
That's a nice way to wake up.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you have given us so many tips already. I would love to know what the best advice you've ever received is. And I always preface, you may not have taken it.
Right? Do we always do as we tell others?
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
walking that talk. Well, you know, this is the advice that I got from being a yoga practitioner and from my teachers.
Yeah.
And it is just be yourself.
Right.
And I say this all the time to my mentees. First, you have to know that person.
Aha.
Who are you at that deeper level?
Yep.
And that usually takes a moment of quiet self-introspection.
Positive.
Because once you really know that person, then you can be that person.
Well, then, of
Right?
course. That's a great way of looking at it. Oh, that's sage. Oh, so are you, and it sounds like you are taking that advice.
I feel
Or
like
you
it's
try to take that advice.
I try my very hardest.
Yeah.
And really, why do I stand up so many times and say things that are unpopular?
Yeah.
Not because of really any other reason, but that night, I will have a hard time living with myself if I don't.
It'll keep you up at night.
Right?
That's fair.
Right? So
Yeah.
I have to be myself.
See?
I hold myself accountable to
That's
myself.
it. That's it.
And so that is actually, it's the core of who I am.
Right.
Just trying to express that deeper spirit in
Yeah.
me
That's it.
in a world which is so cruel to so many people.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So how can we stand up and do this work continuously and be renewed? That's very important to
I
me,
agree.
right? So half of my work is on the social justice angle,
Yeah.
and the other half is on the spirit angle.
Okay.
How can we be healthy through creating a more just world?
Yep.
And how can we be healthy through being in touch with that deeper part of ourselves? That's really what my entire work is.
Yeah, that's it. And it sounds like a disruption in the healthcare industry now, but it's it should be second nature to us, right? It should be what we immediately consider, right? When we wake up in the morning. Okay, so I have 2 more questions for you. Why do you love what you do? It already comes out in most of how you speak, but why? If you could pinpoint, what's the one thing that you love the most about what you do?
My work is a mirror of who I am.
Right.
So I am a social justice activist, and I am somebody who's practiced yoga since I was 3 years old.
Right.
It's my South Asian heritage.
Yeah.
So I love it because that's just walking the path. I'm just walking on my path.
Of course.
It really is who I am. And I really genuinely dream of a world where people, this is what the world looks like. It's very green and the air is very clean and people have big smiles that come from the inside on their faces. And there's a lot of laughter and a lot of music and a lot of dancing. I want that world. I just really want that world.
Dr. Shroff, I want that world so bad, and I can taste it.
Right.
When you speak about it. I am going to switch gears to Vancouver, though.
Right, yeah.
Because you love Vancouver, too, a lot.
I love it here.
So tell me about your favorite spot here. And it can be a couple, or it can be nature. But where's your favorite spot in Vancouver?
Right in the middle of the forest.
Oh,
yeah.
Is there a particular forest or path or hiking area that you enjoy?
I love them all, but the one that I'm in very, very regularly is the one that I that I know the best.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it would be sort of like really any of the forests, but the big trees like the sacred red cedar and the yellow cedars and the firs, and just being around those giants, I feel like if I had to tell you where was my deepest home, that would be it.
It was among the trees.
Among the trees here on the sacred lands of the Coast Salish nations.
Are we ever lucky to live here, right?
Right?
I know,
Yeah.
I know. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time. Dr. Shroff, you have imparted your wisdom, all the work and the contributions that you are making. I am not worried that you are going to burn out or be, tired of doing this amazing work. The passion that just fires up inside of you is continuing because you take care of yourself. And so to our viewers, I want you to know that I think the biggest thing, especially for women and those who identify as women and gender diverse folks, take care of yourselves. It looks like different things for different people, but that's what I took away from this is if you take care of yourself, you can take care of the world and you can make this world, we can create your vision of a world that has joy, of a world that is peaceful, where we are all being who we need to be to push us forward.
Yes.
I love innovators like Dr. Shroff who are able to make us feel warm inside and give us that strength to keep moving and keep pushing forward for the things that really matter for our world. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Keep doing your work.
Oh, gotta keep moving, right? We gotta keep moving. And we'll see you on the next episode of No Credit. Thanks for tuning in to No Credit. We hope you've enjoyed hearing about the incredible stories of trailblazers in the STEM and creative fields. Together, we've challenged stereotypes and ensured their groundbreaking contributions are never left out of history books. Until next time.
This is very, okay, good for her. Yeah. We landed on a space rock. Like, hello.
So when it points at you, you see it, but then it rotates away and you see nothing.
Hers were the first ones specifically designed to power this machine and take it kind of beyond basic calculator status into a computer.
And so I just think of like all of the indirect impact it's having, and I just can't think of anything cooler.
It's okay to fail, it's okay to suck. I play piano and I'm just like, I'm not good, I'm gonna sit. And like, that's fine.
Learning to do things that for you are helpful and positive.
Yes.
Learning how to breathe, the thing that we do all the time. Right.
Yeah, we're from roughly the same cultures, the same area of the world, so we might dance a little bit while we're on screen, so just bear with us. Do you want to give us like the one-line premise? Because I feel like it's over-practiced now.
No, it's just like I have come up with the solution to all the world's problems, right? Climate, of course. We've eradicated global poverty, have true trans-species democracy, and we just had to turn back technology a little bit, and everybody has to leave by 50.